I don't have my speakers plugged in.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
That was a weird way to welcome everybody.
What's up?
That you weren't supposed to hear that. You weren't supposed to hear that part. Now we're gonna have to kill them.
So
now we're gonna have to kill them. They heard that your speakers were off, and now I don't know.
we're gonna kill them.
We're gonna. It's awful. It's an awful way to start. Redo it. Start it over. Okay. Oh man, it's been a crazy morning. We were up super late last night getting Handmade Alpha Academy open for the season. And then we ended up waking up super duper early. We were planning on sleeping in, but we didn't. So we're loopy. We're on Claritin and Flonase and all the allergy things. And Handmade Alpha Academy just opened. So guys, if you're interested in checking out my Etsy coaching program, the link is down below. However, I realized before we started streaming that the link was broken, so I had to go fix the link. So if you click the link and it doesn't work, just refresh the page. It should be down below. Or Mark, you want to just type the link into chat for them?
For which link? I was fixing stuff.
The enrollment link.
Gotcha.
If they want to check it out. If you guys end up having questions at any point throughout the stream about the Handmade Alpha Academy, we are more than happy to answer those. However, I do kind of want to get through this topic because there are a lot of Etsy interesting updates and things that we would like to discuss first. If you have a question about the Handmade Alpha Academy, it would be very helpful if you put a wolf emoji or a fox emoji or a dog emoji.
Links in chat if you guys are interested in HAA.
That will just help us to more easily identify those because there's only 10 days to enroll. We keep those enrollment periods very, very tight because we're 2 people. And if we don't put a limit on the enrollment period, we will be, stuck in a perpetual loop of constantly doing customer support as opposed to actually helping the students. You know what I mean? Right now, it's like my time is split in half between helping people that are getting in and the new people who are already in. And after enrollment closes, I can just focus on helping the people who are in. So that's why we do that. But with that in mind, we have a ton of updates to share with you. We watched the video that Josh Silverman, Etsy CEO, did. It was like an interview that he did about AI, and not like AI art, though he did touch on that. More about how Etsy will be using AI in the future. And he definitely stressed that the irony, he knows that there's irony in the whole keep commerce human thing and Etsy trying to really be ahead of the curve and be ahead of other marketplaces when it comes to the utilization of AI for things like search functions. It was really interesting. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Just keep in mind that many of the things that we're going to be discussing today have not been executed. These are forward thinking plans. And some of the experiments that Etsy is currently performing with AI, they're realizing that consumers aren't ready for it. And they're waiting for consumers to get more adjusted to life with AI before they begin full full execution of these AI plans and for AI to get a little bit smarter. Now I know that a lot of people are probably going to panic by this. We're going to try to stay completely unbiased. We're going to do our best to share some of our opinions on this.
Yeah, I don't usually like watching these investor reports because it's just full of garbage about them talking about how they're going to make more money. These weren't like this, and I was actually rather surprised.
Yeah, so as somebody who is terrified of AI, he made some points that while there were several things that I did not necessarily agree with,
yeah,
I can see how in the long term they could be considered beneficial. And I can see where they're coming from. Do I necessarily agree with all of them? No. Is this necessarily the direction I want to see Etsy go? No. But is it realistic for the amount of sellers that they have?
And necessary? And innovative in the way that he's talking about using AI. I kind of like it. I like the points he was bringing up.
Yeah, so we've got quite a bit. Can you close the picture-in-picture?
Oh, my bad, dog.
My bad, dog.
My bad, dog.
So we're going to be going through those updates. But first, please consider donating to our charity this month, the Trevor Project. They are a fantastic organization that provides chat support, phone support, text support, basically support to LGBTQ plus youth who are, in bad situations, if they're having suicidal thoughts or tendencies, there are crisis lines that they can reach out to, where they can get the support and help that they need. So please consider looking into that. You can donate directly to the Trevor Project down below. That money goes straight to them, or just check them out. You can Google the organization and read more about it. But are we ready to start?
I guess.
I guess. All right. So a couple quick things that I did want to note before we get into the reports, because we watched the Bernstein
Bears.
No, Bernstein. It's I after E is
I got you, Bernstein Bears.
No, the Bernstein Strategic Decisions Conference. That I told Mark yesterday, I'm like, what World War II era microphone are these people using?
God, it was so bad.
You could not hardly understand it at all. It sounded like they were like air traffic control headsets.
Just lowering that down a little bit.
Oh, and then we also watched a video called Josh Silverman using AI to transform Etsy's consumer experience. So
I enjoyed that one.
I did enjoy it. There's things, like I said, that I didn't agree with, but it was interesting.
Right.
But the other things that I wanted to talk about are the changes that we're seeing right now. So keep in mind that it's summer. Summer means two things. First of all, there's not a lot of traffic on Etsy right now. It's Etsy's slowest season. If you're experiencing a dip in sales, a dip in traffic, that's completely normal. It is a worldwide thing that affects all e-commerce because most people are not sitting on their computers during the summer. Now, obviously, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, things are a little bit different for you. But for the majority of Etsy shoppers are located in the US and UK and Canada. And we are all experiencing very, very warm weather right now, which means that we're spending more time outside. With that in mind, can you go back to my notes? I need those.
I gotta look at the chat, bro.
You can see right there.
No, I can't.
The two big things that I need you guys to know are, first of all, summer's the best time for Etsy to run tests.
Excuse me.
We want them to run those tests now, not during the holiday season, because if they run a test and the test, is negatively impactful, obviously that's going to be taking place when people are online during Etsy's peak season, which is fall and the holiday shopping season. We don't want them testing things then. We want them to get those tests out of the way and done with, so that the tests that work, that resulted in good things, good sales, good traffic, those tests will stick.
Agree.
The tests that didn't work, that people didn't like, they'll get rid of them before the big traffic. So
hopefully.
There's a lot of things that some of you might be seeing, some of you might not be seeing. Just don't panic if you see any of these tests, because we don't know what's going to be permanent. We see this every year.
And based on how he was discussing in both of these streams that they did, a lot of times they do these tests and they panel them, so like only a certain percentage of sellers or buyers get whatever the thing they're testing is, and they get direct feedback from those things, and they try to determine whether or not they had a positive impact on the platform before they make them live. So if they do something and most people don't like it and it sticks around anyway, it's because it had a net positive impact in some way on the Etsy platform, based on how they were speaking. And that makes sense.
Yeah, they are constantly looking at how much GMS increases or decreases when they perform a test. And whether we like an experiment or not, if it results in more people making sales, that's a good experience. And just because it causes us to have to do a little bit of extra work as sellers, I'm willing to do that extra work if it's going to result in more money, right?
Yeah.
So,
and what they're talking about testing, especially coming up, is wonderful.
Yeah, there's
utilization of language models is gonna really change things for Etsy in ways that other platforms aren't doing.
Right. So a couple things that you might have noticed. The first is one that isn't a test. It is a permanent thing. There's a $15 fee to start a shop now.
Love it.
I like the idea of it. I don't like the execution, because there are a lot of
That's
people who are starting shops who are being suspended, and then they just lose the $15. But there's also a lot of people who are, they try to make 600 accounts on Etsy to, connect a bunch of drop shipping platforms, and they're not handmade, and they don't ever touch the items. I'm not talking about POD because we create, the designs.
I'm talking about bot and spam shops. Shops that
Exactly.
go on there with a VPN, create an uptick shop that probably have a meme Instagram or Facebook where they make 50, 60 sales and then it gets shut down by Etsy. They switch it, they do it again over and over, and it's an automated process.
Right. And that $15 fee is just supposed to serve as a little bit of a barrier there.
It's a deterrent.
Exactly. So there's that. But the things that Etsy's testing right now are AI generated review summaries. So I've seen quite a few of these. And I actually like them, where it'll basically look at all of your reviews and it'll put like a little thing. It's got the stars to signify that it's AI generated. And it'll, in fact, here, you know what? I have a...
No, I love it. I think they got that idea from Apple, because Apple is including that. They're starting to do daily notification summaries where they're able to take things and kind of generalize what your day looked like to you while you were away from your phone. And I love this kind of stuff.
So the one that I'm seeing, this shop had, it's a star seller shop with a 4.93 star average with 1,170 reviews. And the AI generated thing said what buyers are saying. Buyers were delighted that the product's quality, or delighted with the product's quality and detail, finding it perfect for gifting. One buyer noted the smaller than expected size, but overall the reviews expressed positive sentiment. I like that, because then, you know what? If you did get that bad review where someone's like, I didn't like the size, people aren't going to dig to try to find that negative review. They're going to see this highlight, and it almost
turns people away from negative review reading.
Right. It almost makes that negative review not seem like a big deal. Like, yeah, one buyer noted that it's smaller than expected, but overall the reviews are good.
Most of you that read reviews know exactly why this is important. If you are the kind of person that reads reviews before you buy, you don't automatically go to the 5-star reviews most of the time. You go to like the 3-star reviews, or you go to the 1-star reviews, and if there's something bad, then you go to the 3s so you can see if it's like worth the compromise on a product that might have a bad feature. This kind of eliminates that, because you get turned off from buying things that get negative reviews when, I know a lot of you know from experience, a lot of negative reviews just come from people that aren't using the thing right or did not read a product description, So this hopefully will kind of alleviate that and make it where more people are willing to just jump the gun to buy your product. I'm hoping that's what it does.
Right, because rather than reading through reviews and obsessing, they
like,
can...
oh, this is the summary? This is what almost everyone is saying? Cool, I'll stick with that.
Exactly. So as long as you're not like a shop with a majority of your reviews coming in bad, this is a good thing.
Also, one of the points that we didn't write this down, one of the points that Josh made through this was that as AI features come along, I know a lot of you guys don't like AI, and he acknowledged that.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how in the early days of the internet, everyone said that instead of sending mail, the internet was going to be bullcrap. And the only people, he said, at the time who were on the internet were people who were just like bored dudes with nothing to do. It wasn't people who were it wasn't women mostly. It was just dudes who didn't care about how pretty things were. They just wanted it to work. And nobody thought the internet was going to work. And then around like 2005, 2006, people were still arguing that, the internet's not going to work. And then by 2010, the internet ran the world, right? And he considers AI to be the exact same thing. So even if you don't like these AI features, and most customers don't like these AI features, eventually, probably in the next 5 years or so, it's going to be so widely adopted that you won't have a choice but to accept it. And then it'll become a social norm to accept AI. And we're not referring to art AI. We're referring to like customer service and like these reviews and just like general overviews of your shop and tools that you can use, and things like ChatGPT where you can help write descriptions and better write your descriptions if you're not a good writer. Like, that's what he's referring to, not the art part of it.
Yeah. Also, Brian made a fantastic point. Star seller, offsite ads, listing videos, etc., all came from spring and summer testing and worked out well.
Yep.
There are so many more that didn't pan out and disappeared a month later. Do you guys remember ODR? Right at they launched that right before COVID. Order dissatisfaction rates. It was a score, and if your shop dropped below a certain score because you got like a bad review, they would like kick you off of Etsy. People started freaking out about ODR, and it did not last long. So, okay, so the other tests that they are currently running, and someone asked about if the AI reviews are active yet. Some sellers are seeing them, or I guess I should say buyers. Some people are seeing them, some people aren't. I'm not seeing them yet. So the other one that people are, kind of panicking about is some people are seeing while they're shopping, if the seller has not uploaded a video in the second slot, it will say, this listing doesn't have a video yet, and you can push a button to request one. Well, a lot of sellers are freaking out because, they're saying, well, I sell a digital product or I sell this type of item. There is no way to include a video. Here's my take on it. Videos are always going to be a good thing for your listings if you can find a way to include them. Even if you add the same video to every listing of, maybe it's a digital product. Well, show your face. Say, my name is da-da-da. Do like a little slideshow. My name is da-da-da. I'm the creator behind da-da-da. If you have any questions, please message me. You didn't show a product there. You just added a video that creates value and it keeps the customer on the page for longer. Our objective as a seller is to keep that customer engaged for as long as possible, because every second that they spend on a listing page is a second that you are convincing them to buy. Listing videos can keep them engaged for longer, especially if they're interesting. So if you don't have a way to showcase your product, make that little quick slideshow of, talking about yourself, why you got started, do it real quick. You could just do it with text on the screen because there's no sound on those videos. You can toss it together in CapCut or Canva. Add it to every single listing if you need to. That way you've got one video that can be applied to everything. Or alternatively, over the next few weeks, work on shooting some videos on your phone. They don't need to be perfect. They can be easy. You can just do them real quick and add them. I would start with your best sellers and then maybe expand out to items that are getting, more views, and then expand out to the items that aren't doing as well. That way, it's a slow work in progress, but that's something that they are testing. And let's see, the other one Josh Silverman had talked about is they did a small batch of tests for customers being in Gen AI chatbot experiences where they would say, oh, I need a gift for my mom for Mother's Day. And then the chatbot would come back and say, okay, well, what kind of things does your mom like? What's she interested in? And then you would fill out that stuff and it would ask you a bunch of questions. And then it would tell you a list of products that she might be interested in. Apparently customers hated that. They didn't like it. They weren't ready for it. The AI just isn't there. The results probably weren't the best. So
he's not getting rid of it though.
No, he said they're going to wait until it's smarter.
Yeah, they're going to wait until it gets a little bit more intelligent, but they're still testing with it.
Yeah. So they are going to be experimenting more with it in the future, but that's something that they rolled out and then they kind of pulled back because customers
hated it.
Yeah, customers weren't ready.
We are used to, as a shopping kind of society, we go. I search for the thing, I find the thing, I buy the thing, that's it. I don't want to talk to something, I don't want to think about it. I just want to buy the thing I'm there to get. Even though they know through market research, most people when they come to Etsy have no idea what they're there to buy when it comes to gifting. They're just like, I'm there for a gift for mom. I just want to search gift for mom. But the problem with that is he was talking about you search something like that and then you get like 7 million listings for that exact same thing. But if you were to do a branching path, like 3 questions with an AI could narrow it down to his estimation, something like 4 specific listings that fit exactly what you're talking about. In reality, it'll still be like 20, 30,000 listings.
Of course.
But it narrows it down to a more specific answer that it meets exactly what you're searching for. And that's what they're hoping for. And that's what I'm hoping AI can do, because that makes it a more kind of fair system for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, want to go over the videos now?
Yeah, I love Deb said I blocked ODR from my memory. It was so bad. ODR, I call it Etsy's odor. It was like a little fart that Etsy let out, and then they realized that it was a bad idea. So
that's a stinky.
Yeah, it wasn't
great.
The odor, the Etsy odor.
That needs to be on a shirt.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go. So this is our list of things to be aware of from the AI video specifically. This is where Josh sat down and talked about how Etsy is going to be utilizing AI in the future. He has a very positive vision for AI. He definitely is a very progressive person. It was kind of refreshing because he was like, look, we ain't going to stop it. It's already here. The best thing we can do is to do it better than everybody else.
And you've heard me say it multiple times, the people that get left behind are the people who refuse to jump on the bus.
That's true.
Utilizing AI in ways, and you don't have to use, okay, arguable, no AI is ethical since they're trained on, come on, focus.
I'm focusing.
They're trained on literary works and different things. However, text is text. I'm not as upset about that as long as it's not actually like writing books. Why is it doing that? So using AI to leverage what you can while you can, which is another thing that they were referring to. We'll get more into it later, but leveraging personal shop customer support with AI. So if you're a shop that does get big, you don't have to worry about messaging all of these people that are constantly messaging you. If you get common messages, you can set up things that the AI can read, take what your typical response is, and draft something up that I'm hoping they don't just auto send. They allow you to just like click a button and say, yeah, that works. So you can spend more time doing what actually matters, which is designing better products, taking good pictures, figuring out your SEO, and making a good experience for your customer overall. So
yeah,
yes, I love it.
You know what my granny always told me is if you can't run with the big dogs, you stay on the porch.
That's right.
And that's really, I mean,
right. And that same thing happened with just like he was referring to the internet in the 90s. You had all these telecommunication companies who were still like, no, phones are the future. Cell phones will never happen and computers will never work. And now none of those businesses exist anymore.
The computer is the phone.
Yeah, none of those businesses exist anymore except for the ones who were willing to hop on the bus that carried them further into the future. Unfortunately, technology doesn't stop being progressive. It always moves forward. It never halts. At least for now, AI might be the end of where we can go, I think. I don't know.
The thing is, we've grown in technology kind of like this, and now AI has allowed us to do this. And we haven't done this since the internet came to be.
Yeah. So, and if you guys know anything about technology, it's an exponential curve. The faster it starts going up, the faster it advances. We don't know where, we could be at the bottom of this curve, we could be at the top of the curve, or we could be where it skyrockets. However, if it's where we skyrocket and you get behind, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So utilizing it where you can, and you don't have to use it for your art. I don't think it's ethical to make art with AI, but that's not up to me to decide. For you, there's no legal precedent for that now. So I don't care what you do.
Right.
But utilizing things like ChatGPT, utilizing things like Grammarly and different grammar-based AI sources and things that write things that sound like you that can save you time, because you have a 45-second long email versus an hour and a half trying to draft up a masterpiece to a customer who maybe you do wholesale and you're trying to draft up a response to a corporate email and it could be the gig of your life and you aren't a writer. AI can leverage things like that for you. Anyway, I don't want to get on these spicy rants. We're literally 1 point into like 50 points. Yeah. So let's go ahead and continue on.
All right. So Etsy is using generative technology to identify products that will better fit a unique buyer's personalized search. So something that I thought was really interesting, this actually came from our from the strategic conference that fits. So the way that he described it is, okay, you have your items, right? What Etsy search is going to do is it's going to put it into bucket 1. Out of these millions of items, is your item relevant? Okay, it's in the first bucket. Is it relevant to what the shopper is searching for? If it is, cool. Let's refine the bucket and only put the items that are relevant to that search. Bucket number 2. Does it fit or, match this specific user's preferences? So the AI is identifying what, we'll say Jessica over here, the things that Jessica favorites, the thing that Jessica searches for, the things that Jessica is clicking on, what Jessica finds interesting. Do the items within the bucket, they're relevant, but which of these items match the things that Jessica is typically interested in based on what the machine learning has identified? Okay, if those things match, they get moved into bucket number 3. okay, are all the sellers now who match Jessica's preferences, are they shipping on time? Are their past reviews good? Are they good sellers? And basically, Jessica will be matched with the items that fit her search, that are relevant to her search, that fit her preferences, things that she has better, that she's interacted with in the past, types of styles, colors, whatever it may be. And then, are the sellers that we're presenting to Jessica good sellers? Do they have, good reviews? Are they being responsible sellers, basically? There are a couple ways that I see this. I kind of like it, though, because right now Etsy's so saturated that for the outliers, for everybody who sells, within niches, like we've been saying from the very beginning, it's going to be more important than ever, because if you're selling within a niche, okay, maybe Jessica's searching for t-shirts. Okay, that the results are relevant, but they don't fit Jessica's preferences if, you're just showing her every t-shirt under the sun. But if Jessica always looks at shirts with poodles on them, well, then that matches Jessica's preferences. And then we bucket into another bucket where, okay, let's eliminate all the people who are just, pricing at the bottom, sending crappy quality shirts, all these people who make 600 Etsy shops. They don't care about what they make. They're just sticking random graphics of poodles on shirts and selling them. Jessica's getting matched with good sellers who otherwise might be buried by all these other people that are just listing infinite nonsense. This is why for years, since we started the channel, we have talked about niching, and now the AI is going to better support niching because it's going to be more directed towards user preferences. So I actually really like that because I see it as an opportunity for people who might otherwise not be found to get found. Now, obviously, you need to have the good reviews and be a good seller. I dare say that the sellers who are going to do the very best over the next 10 years are the sellers who have the good SEO, who provide the good service, who are appealing to Etsy's algorithm, who have good photos, yada, yada, but who also do the work and market externally as well.
Yes.
Because you got to have the good reviews for Etsy to know that you have good reviews. You have to make sales and get that positive interaction for Etsy to know that. And if you're driving a little bit of that traffic from external sources like social media, that's going to help. It's going to feed the algorithm. That way the algorithm identifies that people do like these items, even if that traffic is coming externally, which is the same thing that we've been saying for years. And it's the exact foundation that I teach within the Handmade Alpha Academy. So for those of you who I saw several people say that they just joined, that's best of both worlds. Is you're going to be building your external traffic, you're going to be building your direct marketing, which is going to be your email marketing, and you're going to be building up your SEO. So that's 3 traffic sources that are all going to work together and help to hopefully build up your listing quality and boost those listings in search and make them more relevant. But I also see an end to using these really vague, indescript keywords like, just listing, a couple really basic words like gift for mom. I think that the future is going to be getting specific.
We'll get more into that a little bit later on too. Where are you at? Can you highlight where we are?
Yeah. I did find it interesting that they started using machine learning in 2016. So for everybody who's like, oh, Etsy's all machine learning now. No,
they've been doing it since the early days.
Personalization. Yeah, personalization's been around for a long time. I really like this phrase that he said. The algorithm tries to understand what you meant, not what you said.
Exactly. What was the example that he was using for that? Wedding dresses.
Wedding dress.
He was talking about how when you would go on Etsy and you would search for wedding dress, you would get some wedding dresses, but a huge portion of the listings he was seeing were wedding dress hangers. They were hangers specifically made for wedding dresses. That's not what the person said. So these language models are attempting to, based on your search history and all the other personalization, whatever factors they're putting into it, along with what the machine already knows, is going to try to understand not just what you say, but what you mean and the context of what you're actually searching for, which, again, this makes it a lot more important for you to make sure that your products have a description and a title that actually makes sense for what's being displayed and not just stuffing.
Yeah. I think that long tail keywords right now are going to be more important than ever because they're going to connect you into that direct stream, that hard line of context specific searches where if you're searching wedding dress hanger is wedding dress. You know, that keyword is nested within. So it would make sense that if it was just relevancy playing into the algorithm, that wedding dress box, wedding dress shadow box, wedding dress hanger, wedding dress accessories, all of these things might also display, when in reality, the context really matters in these situations. And I think that in future searches, long tail keywords are the thing that are going to really help us to tap into the exact type of customer that's searching for those things, because we are going to be really hitting those shoppers, like we've said for years, with the most purchase intent, but also it's going to help the algorithm to connect to the shoppers who are making those very specific searches as well. He talked about nested searches, basically nesting searches within searches to decrease like this cognitive overload of getting onto an Etsy page, searching for something and getting, 100,000 results. The way that he described it was like, here's a list of ideas. Select one of these ideas. Okay, based on those ideas, here are some smaller ideas related to those ideas that you might be interested in. I feel like they kind of already do that with their like categorization, and when you deep dive into, like, if you click home and living, it'll be like, okay, here are lamps, here are tables, here are wall decor, pick one of these. Okay, now click that. Okay, here's some listings related to that. But I'm assuming that they're planning on doing more with that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they're wanting to put less on the screen. So instead of giving you 50 listings that all look exactly the same, they can give you a couple of listings that more match the context of what you're looking for and give you fewer choices, so you're more likely to buy something real. You know?
One of the big points I put on here is that this right here, like everything that we're talking about making sure that, your keywords are well optimized, you filled out your descriptions, you're being a good seller,
your shop is filled out.
Your shop is filled out, your photos are good. All of these things that most of us are already doing because you guys are here watching an hour-long live stream with us. Clearly, you're actually dedicated to your business and you're not just starting it to try to make a quick buck. I feel like this is going to be the plan that's it's going to kill the outliers, not by eliminating them all from the platform, because that's an astronomical task. But I think that this is the thing that's going to take those really crappy sellers who do not care about the marketplace or the integrity of the marketplace or their customers. I feel like this is the thing that's going to start pushing them to the back of the line. Whereas the people who are actually putting in the work, creating unique products, filling everything out, actually providing good customer service, the things that we've been asking for years. I'm hoping that this will lead to those things being pushed back and our products being put front and center.
Because the main point of this is kind of that humans can't do all of the work necessary to do what the AI is capable of doing with very little intervention.
That's true.
And that's kind of the point, is that they're leveraging AI. And there's going to be bumps, there's going to be some bruises, and there's going to be some annoyed people, and some people are going to suffer financially, and that sucks. However, in the long run, it's hopefully going to pay out in a way where the people that actually put in the work are better supported.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking, we've already kind of covered this, but he
spoke to you.
Yeah, he spoke to me. He used electronic dance music as a reference of AI not being a tool that should be used alone, but should be used alongside humans. Most of the places where AI it does not operate solely on its own. For the most part, there's still, and I don't entirely believe his statement here, he said that human intervention on Etsy is still very much the main thing, AI just kind of helps bring the cases forward and then humans do their thing. I don't really believe that. I think in a lot of the suspension cases, there's no human intervention whatsoever. And we kind of, I mean, we don't, it's anecdotal evidence, but we have a lot of evidence to suggest that that's not how it's being handled.
Getting an email within 3 minutes that says we performed a comprehensive review of your account.
And that tells me that if AI is involved, then the person that's reviewing these things that the AI is doing most of the work for is just going,
they need to be fired.
They need to be fired and they need out of there. So one of those two things is happening and there aren't any other alternatives. Those are the two options.
Now, I'm going to say something just so you guys are educated. I don't want you guys to, I don't want any controversy. I don't want any arguments. We all have varying opinions on this. I just want to state this as a statement so that we're all aware, so that we're all on the same page. Josh stated that he values AI as a tool for creation for those who are not artistic enough to draw something or paint something themselves. Take that as you will. What that tells me is that there will probably not be any form of regulation of AI generated artwork on Etsy. That's my speculation.
However, and I don't know if you might have this, we watched a lot of live stream yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Along with that, man, my brain just took a crap. He was also speaking about how their system will be capable of identifying AI content versus handmade content. So it's not just like, do whatever you want. That's not what he said. What he said was he likes AI as a tool for people who are not artistic with their hands, or maybe they're disabled or whatever, to be able to express the art that's in here on paper or on screen better than they would be capable of themselves. However, he did also acknowledge that their system will be capable of identifying this kind of stuff. So
maybe its own section?
Maybe its own section. Maybe if somebody specifically types in the word handmade, those things will be filtered. We don't know. All we can do is speculate on that. But he's not just like, I'm cool with AI art, let it go. He also made very clear that they were working to identify this kind of art in the feed.
Yeah. So again, that's no arguing, because we have people on both sides of the fence. We have, you know, the AI art sellers in the chat. We have the people who are completely anti-AI art. We're just stating factually based on what he said and where we think that will go in the future. So
okay. And the next one, interesting one, I know I had to explain this like 4 times because computers aren't your thing. Basically,
it's confusing.
What they're doing, and I'm not a huge fan of this because I don't like multiple teams working on the same thing at the same time. The way that Etsy, at least how I understood it in the presentation, the way that their platform is set up for their developers, for their web engineers and for their back-end engineers, is that anybody can work on anything at any time. So obviously teams have to communicate. If they're both working on the same section, there's some interplay that has to happen. They have to work with each other. But the way that their system is set up is very streamlined. So this team can be working up here while this team works down here, and there's no interference in between. So what they're attempting to do is make AI do the same thing. So they're going to have, the way I understood it, lists of AI capabilities that their system knows works after testing and all that kind of stuff. And any engineer who is, as of right now, they need their AI team to be able to adapt AI into any feature in Etsy. But the way that they're building it is that any team of web engineers, no matter what they're doing, can say, you know what, I think AI would help leverage in this way, and they can select that, and without having an AI specialist, be able to inject AI into that feature in some kind of way without any kind of help, if that makes sense. I don't particularly like that because anytime there has to be interplay between multiple teams of engineers, sometimes there's going to be overlaps. Oops, I did this thing before communicating with the other guys, and now there's a bug. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm more in favor of like, this team gets this part this week, this team gets this part this week. I know that limits creativity and it slows down, but progress for the sake of progress on a website isn't always necessarily
Progress for the
anyway.
sake of progress.
For the sake of progress. I mean, it's true. It's true. In web development, you have websites that are changing, and they're constantly making changes that don't need to happen. Back-end changes are one thing, but constantly injecting new features and new ways to do this and new ways to do that and new ways to like you're not advancing anything, you're going sideways. And going sideways is a huge waste of money, and it just makes you look good. It's not actually helpful for the people on the platform. So while it's cool that the engineers can inject AI where they see fit and they can do whatever they need to, inevitably it causes more problems than necessary. And they were even talking about their whole thing is that when they get a new engineer, they want them to push code on their first day. There's no way that you have that kind of creativity go walking in the door like that. Like, you have to learn the architecture, you have to learn the system, you have to learn how people are using the platform. And these teams, they're talking about how some teams are putting out like 2 changes a week. That's a lot of changes to a platform with this many people on it, man. Like, slow down and work on it on the big picture instead of all these little small picture things.
Thank you, Miranda, for validating my umbrage there. I'm glad that you got that. Mark just completely bulldozed that.
I'm sorry.
Progress for the sake of progress.
Because I had a thought and you were interrupting it, and I have ADHD.
It's okay. We love you. We love you.
Don't mess up my hair. Get out of here.
All right. Oh God, that was like a cute one. So that was an umbrage laugh too. Okay, so this one I really liked. So Etsy really expressed that they want to begin showcasing items that are unique and original, which means that, okay, there's 2 ways to see this. First of all, it means that making 600 Mama Bear t-shirts, okay, Etsy has enough Mama Bear shirts. Let's be real. Etsy is trying to really encourage people to be unique and original. Again, this is where niching comes in and creating a defined niche, a target customer with very specific needs, which is what we're all about here. So I really like that. He said, in a list of near neighbors, so these are items that are very similar, they may prioritize who was first in that niche.
This is good for a number of reasons, but I'll let you continue your thought.
So 2 things. In oversaturated niches, like Mama Bear shirts, this means that there's going to not be very many opportunities in that niche for newbies. There's already someone at the top of that. That is something that has already been completely, there's nothing unique and original to do there. It's all been done. Mama Bear t-shirts is done. We don't need to make Mama Bear or Live, Laugh, Love shirts.
Good God.
There's plenty of those.
There's a reason it's a meme.
Right. There's plenty of those. We don't need any more. However, I do see this as being a good reason to stay on top of trends. So when a new trend pops up, a new color, a new theme, this could be something that is important. Or on the opposite side, maybe it's important for some of us to be early adopters of trends. I know some of you get a thrill from that, but there's also value in not always seeking the trends and trying to be first. For the trend seekers, you guys got to be quick. You guys got to be paying attention. You guys got to be fast acting. You got to get that stuff listed quick. You have to constantly keep your ear to the ground and listening for what's new. We cover new trends as they emerge here on my channel. But you guys have to really focus on that. For those of you who are like, I don't have time for that, it is more important than ever for you to pick your niche, pick your lane, pick your focus, not make everything for everyone. Pick the thing that makes you special. If the thing that makes you special is, I create creative designs for the whole family, honey, that's not creative. Everybody's done that. You gotta find that niche. You have to find that thing that you're passionate about, that other people are passionate about, rather than trying to appeal to the whole world.
That's what our goal has been from the get-go. What makes you the person I should buy from instead of your competitor? What makes you better? Because if they're around first, they're probably better than what you are at doing what you're doing if you're selling the same thing. That's what computers are going to see that as. You've been around longer, you have better reviews, you've been doing more things. You make the exact same thing as this person, just started your shop, don't have any reviews. We're going to prioritize this person. That makes sense. It sounds not fair, but it's more fair than just random listings being thrown out. And arguably, and I'm probably going to catch hate for that, arguably, POD is going to be hit hard by this.
And I'm POD.
POD, also arguably, is significantly more damaging to Etsy as a platform than AI. Not because of POD as what it is, but how it's utilized by the majority of the sellers that are utilizing it for copyright things, for selling their AI art, for all of these things. So the options are either figure out a way to prioritize actually unique items, and let's just talk POD general here. You can either find a way to prioritize unique original items and the people who made items first, or you can get rid of it entirely. So either they can get rid of POD and solve like 90% of Etsy's problems, or they can figure out ways to identify either the unique version or the version that came first. That
Right.
to me sounds like the most fair. And if you have alternatives, I'm sure Etsy is, I gotta quit doing that. I'm sure Etsy is open to alternatives.
And I'm there. I'm there as well. Where, you know, I'm a POD person. We're officially licensed to sell bookish merch. These licenses are available for lots of Etsy sellers. Lots of Etsy sellers have these licenses with these authors. We decided, okay, what's going to make us unique? Well, a lot of the items that we saw had the same quotes, you know, quotes that you could find on Goodreads from the books, moments from the stories, you know, imagery from these books, just used over and over and over again. What unique thing can we add as POD sellers? We decided that everything that we created would be in a watercolor style. And we started targeting moments and quotes from the books that aren't necessarily the trendiest ones that you find when you Google them, but the ones that were striking to us as readers when we read them. And these scenes and moments were special to us. So we assume that they're probably special to other people. And if you're using a Kindle, you can actually see how many people have highlighted certain areas in the story to
And you
know.
can identify what's important to most people.
That's research right there. So that's the unique positioning point as POD sellers that we decided to take. We found, even in this very saturated niche, we found the thing that is going to help us to be unique. And it takes a little bit of work, and I understand that it's hard. But again, that is what is going to set the innovators apart from the people who want to stay the same forever. And the world will not stay the same forever. One of the things that we, like the whole slogan, the whole phrase, the thing that I say repeatedly in the Handmade Alpha Academy is plan, adapt, evolve. And now it's more important than ever. That is the whole point of my program. Plan for change. It'll always happen. Adapt to change quickly, because the world is never going to stop changing. And eventually through that adaptation, you will evolve into a new person with better workflows. You know, a couple years ago, we never would have thought AI is possible. Now, most of us know a basis of how to interact with it, what questions to ask it, and how to analyze the results to decide if what it has told us is you know, worth anything. We've already learned how to do that. We've adapted. This is all just more adaptation.
And for those of you who do POD, this is actually really, really, really good news if the art you're creating is yours. If it's original, even probably if you're doing Canva stuff, because what you're coming up with is an original combination of things. What this is going to do is make it where people who think that getting on Etsy and then buying 50 creative Fabrica designs a week and sticking them on t-shirts, it's going to stick those people on the back end. They're not going to be the front runners anymore, hopefully. And again, this is all speculative. This isn't stuff that Etsy's currently doing. It's stuff that Etsy is talking about doing. So
Yeah.
Next, we got to scoot along. We're not going to get through it all.
Oh, I know. So machine learning, one thing that he said that is that it cannot identify trends. So something that's trendy.
I'm going to go fill this up.
Okay. It can't identify trendy things in order to prioritize those. That will always require humans. And that it can't identify craftsmanship. It can't identify, you know, the things that you spent all that time creating until your knuckles were bloody with your hands. It's going to be a while before AI and ML can do this. So there's still so much value in the human experience there because AI just, it's not there yet. It can't look at a photo and say, wow, this person clearly sanded this piece of wood by hand or something like that. All in all, he believes that it's going to take a long time for mass adoption to take place, where consumers, our customers, are going to... Oh, let me pick this up off the floor so he doesn't step on it. It's going to be a while until they are completely comfortable with AI to the point where they are willing to interact with it on a daily basis while navigating the internet. And I think that I'm kind of the same way. One thing that I did not like, he was talking about all the ways they currently use AI. He said that they're using it in the trust and safety team to identify if an item is handmade, and they're using it within their search team.
I like it.
I don't like it being used with the trust and safety team simply because I do not believe that there is enough human intervention taking place when it comes to items that are being deactivated wrongfully.
It'll get better over time, though.
I hope
there's going to be some sores and working along the way. But I'm in favor of that significantly more than them outsourcing support to people that don't care.
That's true.
Because I have myself personally dealt with several Etsy customer support people that just don't care. They send you a swipe file that had nothing to do with what you said, and then they move on. Yeah. And AI ain't going to do that. And over time, it'll get better at catering exactly what it's doing.
Yeah.
There's going to be sores at first.
So that was the basis of the AI video. Next, we're going to talk about the strategic conference. There were a lot of good points there, lots of parallels. We'll try to skip parallels that,
we've
already talked about. But before we do that, this would be a great time to mention that my Etsy coaching program just opened for the season. It's only open for 10 days. We only open it twice a year because Mark and I are only 2 people and we can't keep it open all the time because there's a lot of you. So if you're interested in checking it out, Mark is going to put the link in the chat. And if you have any questions about it, if you could just put like a wolf emoji, a dog emoji, or a fox emoji, when we are finished with the stream, we will answer questions. I would much rather answer your questions here live than through email. I had someone apologize for emailing me. I'm fine emailing, but I feel like I can be more authentic with you. Not face to face, but you're seeing my face. You know what I mean? I like talking. I would rather talk about it.
Oh, me too. Anna said working in customer service is insane. Oh, I know. I was tech support for like 7 months.
Yeah.
Before we launched Handmade Alpha Academy. I get it. Trust me. And my job in the military was working hands-on with people downrange. So I get working with human beings that are time sensitive. It's insane. However, Etsy support is mostly email, and they have things like ChatGPT that can help them leverage their job. So there is zero excuse for anyone to be doing bad in Etsy's customer support.
Yeah, and they are. I love the Max and Nicole, the peer pressure in the chat. Join, click it. You should do it. All the existing students serve as our testimonials. We don't even need to convince you to join the program. They'll do it for us.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get into the strategic conference stuff because we only have like 30 something minutes and a lot of points left to get through.
Sure.
We already kind of talked about how Josh said he wants to be ahead of the curve with AI, referencing how nobody thought the internet was going to work in the mid 90s and even into the mid 2000s, and now the internet within the first couple of years. And he was talking about how with AI, there is a very low expectation for what it can do. He said, but when things like Wi-Fi came out, the first time you used Wi-Fi, it was really exciting because you didn't have to hook your phone or your computer or whatever up to the internet. And then within a week, you were upset when you had to plug something in again, right? So eventually, AI and these AI features will be something that most people, especially the younger people who are doing the most of the stuff online, are going to come to expect to be a standard, and they want to stay ahead of that curve.
Yeah. He did talk about how in most e-commerce right now, the things that people are, because times are hard, times are very hard right now. We can all agree to that. That the thing that most people are focusing on are everyday essentials. Like with Walmart, most people are, searching for groceries. They're searching for things that they use every day. They're searching for cheap solutions. Whereas Etsy, they are not going to contribute to the race to the bottom. And while they do have, featured sales sections and discounts, and they recommend sellers, running discounts and things, he really wants to focus on Etsy maintaining higher prices for quality items that are made by humans. That was definitely the focal point. And I like that. I like that he acknowledged that it's not about offering the lowest prices. And I'm wondering if in time, this is me purely speculating. I wonder if in time, though, when we're talking about AI influencing search and talking about the quality of items that are being matched with buyer preferences, if maybe price will be considered if we're looking at, 1,000 shirts with poodles on them, maybe Etsy might consider the item that is in that higher price tier. Maybe it's a higher quality product compared to the people who are only charging like $6 for a shirt, and how the heck are they even profiting? Maybe that'll be taken into consideration. Just a thought. There's also a high focus on gifting. They're very proud of gift mode. Apparently it's performing well. I'm not impressed by it, but hey, if their stats are showing that it's doing well, that's cool. But that also tells me that we might want to start focusing on creating giftable products for the holidays. If you can bundle items together to create little gift sets, if you make necklaces and earrings, bundling those together into sets, creating things that are ideal for gifts, I dare say that that's going to be their primary advertising focus this holiday season. I'm just going to take a big guess to that. He also mentioned that they have been working to reduce the amount of time that customers will wait for a package by 2 days. He mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah, he mentioned that multiple times, and he also talked about how they had already, for a lot of areas, reduced average shipping time by an entire day.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're doing that.
Pressuring the sellers.
Well, they're pressuring the sellers, but they're also offering shipping options to the buyers, and giving more options to the sellers to provide to the buyers to be able to get the items on time, even if they're shipping around the same time. And obviously they are pressuring sellers to ship more quickly. And in reality, if you're selling, you should be attempting to ship as much as possible. Obviously we want our weekends and we want our off times, but if you're trying to make a successful business, you should be, if it's not inconvenient, you should be shipping products that are ready to ship. That's just, it's common sense.
Right. If you can. And,
I've bought products on Etsy that have been not made to order, that I have waited over 2 weeks for someone to even bring it. Like, that's unacceptable.
Or they
what I mean?
Or they print the label that day, but then the label sits.
Right. It sits there for 2.5, 3 weeks, and then they put, that's, if you want to batch ship, that's fine, but waiting 2 to 3 weeks to ship an item that's already made is an unacceptable thing. And I have had that. I'd say that's about a third of my experiences on Etsy are waiting for something to ship for a ridiculously long time.
They also talked about focusing on items in search that ship closer to your location. That has been a thing for mobile for a long time, where you're more likely to see items in search that ship, closer to you, because that reduces shipping time. So you might see, people within your own state or country prioritized a little bit more. I personally don't. If this is something that they're doing, it's not something that I'm experiencing, and maybe it's just my own shopping patterns that might be diverse and expanding out to different countries. But for the most part, when I'm shopping online, a lot of the sellers that I personally come across in those first few pages or those first few results on mobile are UK sellers, and maybe that's just the niches and things that I'm searching.
Yeah, it depends on the niches that you're searching in, because the majority of the niches I search in, it's usually Eastern European or Ukrainian sellers that are. I buy a lot of woodwork stuff, and most of that stuff is Eastern Europe that I get results for.
Yeah, so just something to keep in mind.
They want to target people who want an item that is special, not just an item that is cheap and easy to obtain from a place like Walmart. And he said, you're better at explaining. This is your point.
Yeah, he said everything comes with a story, and that customers should understand that story, because that's why they're shopping from Etsy. That is a huge hint. Everything comes with a story. Everything that you sell comes with a story. Handmade Alpha Academy students, you guys already all know this because we talk about this in HAA. Every item serves a purpose and solves a problem. No matter what you sell, I don't care how simple it is. It could be a sticker that just says the F word on it. Every product solves a problem and has a purpose, and there's a story behind it. We purchase items not just for the physical product that it is, but for the story and the meaning that it holds. And expressing that meaning is huge. He said customers should understand that story. What areas do we have that express our story? Our about section photos, our shop member sections, our listing descriptions, having videos attached to our listings, having lots of photos. These are all things that help to tell the story of our items. To me, this was a hint. I have all things that I've been saying for years, but now, hey, now it comes from Josh.
It was kind of funny how validating both of these live streams were.
All the things that we've been teaching.
We've been teaching people for literal years.
Every few minutes during the stream, Mark would go, boom, and I would like hurry up and like take a note. I've got a laptop over here.
It's all stuff we've been teaching people for years. It's almost like sticking to trendy, crappy things that people say to make a quick buck are the worst possible thing that you could do for your long-term career. And this entire set of live streams was validation for that.
Rest in peace to all the YouTubers who keep telling everyone to list 100 items a day.
Yeah, because that's about to make you irrelevant. Keyword stuffing. Don't do that anymore. He specifically said that their systems are going to take things like keyword stuffing and make you not as relevant in search.
Yeah.
It is going to damage your ability to rank because it makes the buying experience worse when you're keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
Use terms that accurately describe what your product is, what it's for, who it's for. That way, when AI gets better at understanding context, it can put you in front of people who are just sticking random terms in there. We've always said that. Quality score, big boys.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting into the quality score thing, and we have the exact statement that he said too.
Okay. So these are things that let me I'm gonna say this. I think that, and a lot of people asked me about Kara. She mentioned this. I did not watch Kara's video. I'm just going based on what you guys said. I love Kara. I just think that she might have misinterpreted this a little bit, or maybe you guys misinterpreted what she said. Again, I didn't actually watch the video. I'm just going based on, what you guys told me.
We in general kind of like Kara.
Right. There's nothing wrong with Kara. But what I was told was that Kara said that listing quality scores would be displayed on our dashboard, which, for those who don't know, listing quality scores are an undisclosed score that Etsy uses in order to decide, how to rank us in search based on our past history on the platform and how our listings have performed. Our listing quality affects each individual listing. Our customer and marketplace experience score, that's the sum total of us as sellers and what we have provided.
And the factors that these are going to be based on, and I think he talked out of his butt a little bit with this. I don't think he knows the exact things because he's probably not a part of the development team on that. But quality score dictates your rank. We've said that for years.
Well, we
already know that. Shipping on time, fair shipping times, messaging customers who message you.
Oh, that's fair shipping price. That should have been
fair shipping price. Yeah. Messaging your customers back in a fair, he didn't say 24 hours.
That's what Etsy wants.
But Etsy wants you to message people back within a day. Getting frequent and 5-star reviews and good customer interaction back and forth are all things that dictate what your quality score will be. Now, the way that it was kind of explained was that they said that Kara had said that your quality score is going to be shown to you. He didn't explicitly say that. The way that he described it, it kind of sounds like they're going to give you a synopsis or an average kind of display of what your listing score would be. So they're not going to show you like, these are all the things you did. This is your it's going to be more like this is what we think your quality score is. It's not going to give you the factors and all that kind of stuff. But we have the exact statement. That way we're not talking out of our butts. This is exactly word for word what Josh said. Transparently surface quality scores to our sellers. Transparently display
transparently surface
the quality scores to our sellers on their dashboards. Here's how we rank the item quality of each of your items, and here's how we rank your service quality. Overall, as a seller, you put a comma there, overall as a seller, and the better you do on these metrics, the more you earn your way to prominence in search. That's how we elevate the best of Etsy. That's how we make the uniquely human buying experience. We create a ways to the top that's not only better for the sellers because they have more agency, but because it's better for the buyers. So they're going to transparently surface the quality scores. That is the exact statement that he said. He's not saying that you're going to say like, you need to do this more, you need to do this more, you need to do this more, you need to do this more. They're going to say that, let's say you respond to messages frequently on time. That's great. You ship frequently on time. That's great. Your shipping prices are great. That's great. They're already kind of doing that by telling people to ship quicker. This whole getting things, that's already a part of it. So it's going to probably be more stuff like that where they're saying you need to ship a little bit faster. Your shipping prices are good. Your shipping prices are bad. They're going to display this kind of stuff in your dashboard so you know more specifically what you need to kind of narrow down on. Again, he didn't specifically say they're going to show you
like a number of
like you're 70, but they are going to give some kind of average in different categories on what they think you're doing well and what you think you're doing not well.
Right. And maybe that's what Kara said. Maybe it was a misinterpretation by you guys. I just didn't want you guys to think that one day you're going to wake up and there's going to be like, you've got a 75 out of 100. You know, it's probably going to be more like, hey, you know, you're good here, you're good here, you're good here, but you could improve on this. And then people will, see, you know.
But again, that's speculation. It could just be a straight up score. He didn't really allude one way or the other. He just wants you to be aware of the things you are and aren't doing right that directly affect your search results for people. So that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
A couple things real quick before we move on. Renee said, so it's going to be like E-rank grades, but don't mean much.
It'll mean everything.
It'll mean everything.
It means literally everything. What your listing quality score is how you rank against other people in search based on a variety of factors. What I think isn't going to change, I don't think they're going to give you the exact specific small minute detail factors that you need. Otherwise, anybody could just game the system if they understand it better than you. So I don't think they're going to do that. Again, they're just going to most likely give you an overarching category.
Yeah.
This is your customer support category. You got a 5 out of 10. You suck. Make people feel better, you know?
Right.
It's not going to be like that, but you get what I'm saying.
Two more things. Hold on.
Yes.
MHG Pickleball, have y'all already talked about Search Analytics Beta? Let me let you in on a little secret. Search Analytics Beta has been in beta for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
It's not new, and there's nothing else that we could possibly cover about it, unless they slipped something in that I haven't seen in the last like week. It ain't changed. It's the same stuff. And then the other thing, Christina had asked if they could post a specific, if someone within the student campus in HAA asks you to post your shop or, you know, what you make or whatever.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
You just can't advertise in there. Am I making the camera?
Yes, you are.
Sorry.
So crazy. I don't know why the autofocus is so fast today.
But yeah, Christina, you're good. You're good. We already covered that part.
Okay. We kind of went over that.
Mm-hmm.
Gauged metrics. That's how you had worded it in here. They're going to give you gauged metrics based on certain factors.
Yeah.
Plan to get buyers on board with new progression of Etsy. Okay, so yeah.
So basically, as Etsy starts evolving over, you know, it might be the next few months, but I am guessing that this is more of like a 5 to 10 year plan about all these AI changes that we've talked about today.
I'd say it's probably closer to 3 to 5 years than 5 to 10, but
yeah. What they said is that they're going to be doing things to help buyers, or I'm sorry, I meant to say sellers. I said buyers. To help to get sellers on board with the new progression of Etsy so that we know what we need to be doing. This is going to be a really important time for us because we need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your Etsy emails, because when they have webinars and events, we need to keep up with those. Etsy has specific event pages where you can, you know, see what webinars and things they have, and they have a lot of those leading up to the holiday. So we need to keep an eye on stuff like that, because if Etsy's making big changes, we need to make sure that we're first in line, because the people who are first to do what Etsy wants us to do are the people who are going to be more successful in the long run, because we're going to be the early adopters of these new rules that Etsy puts around search. I don't think that it's going to be like new rules to follow, but I think it's going to be best practices that are really going to show who's serious and who's not serious. And who's not serious is, like Mark and I have talked about, all the drop shippers and things like that.
Creative Fabrica people.
Yeah, who just don't really do anything at all to make their items.
They buy a design or have AI generate it, stick it on a shirt, and they've been a business owner for 5 minutes and they have 20 listings. It's not fair for everyone. They talked a lot about having. Well, I guess he didn't really speak on this a lot, but they're making a lot of small changes. However, he did say to expect several more big releases, like things like gift mode. So they don't have just a bunch of small fixes in place. They've got a bunch of big things planned too. He did not divulge into what those were. But then this one was really important. So they spoke about, I love this. This was probably some of the biggest validation that we had. Basically proving the 80-20 rule that we speak about, that 80% of your sales should come from 20% of your people, repeat buyers. He was talking about how people shop on Etsy, and I don't remember the exact, I think he said that, was it 2% of people purchase and then 0.2, or how did he, sorry, the math was really weird. 2% of people will come back to Etsy more than once a year, something like that. And then 2% of those people will continuously rebuy.
The word he said was the most likely thing someone is going to buy statistically is the thing that they bought last.
Yeah, he was using what was it? Animal food scoops, like for your
dog food scoops.
Dog food scoops. He said, why would you show someone mostly things that are similar to dog food scoops if they just bought a dog food scoops? And they have shown in their testing that the majority of people, a huge portion of people who buy something, when they come back to a platform, they buy something almost exactly the same or similar again when they come back to the platform if they make a repeat buy. That's very interesting. That's really weird data. I don't really know how to interpret that in terms of competition. It's really weird. Kind of makes competition irrelevant. but again, it doesn't. It's a very interesting thing that they've come out with. I really like this. But it was validation for the 80-20 rule that the more people you can get to come back to the shop more successfully, the more relevant you are going to be to those people who have purchased from you. So if you garner a purchase, significantly more people are going to be willing to come back and buy more from you if Etsy shows more of your listings to that person. So if you've recently, I've had this happen several times, if you've recently bought from a shop and then come back to Etsy to buy again, you're going to get a bunch of more, the same listing and a bunch more listings from that shop from Etsy. And Etsy's doing that. So they're actively encouraging people to repeat buy from your shops for you at no cost.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is.
Something that he also said was that previously favorites to Etsy didn't mean a whole lot in terms of, what they could glean from it. But now that they're incorporating in machine learning more, that identifying shopper patterns, what they're clicking on, what they're favoriting, this is going to allow them to start building a very complex buyer profile for that specific shopper that's going to assist in how Etsy caters search results. Like we kind of talked about at the beginning, if Jessica is, shopping around and maybe she's planning a violet themed wedding and she's looking at, prints with violets, and she's looking at seed paper with violets, and she's looking for wedding dresses with violets. Etsy might be more likely to recommend more wedding related things with violets to Jessica when she's being more vague with her searches. Maybe she searches for wedding invitations and Etsy noticed that, okay, she's really interested in violets. Let's make sure that we prioritize the wedding invitations with violets. This is good. This means that we're
so good. And it's data. It's data. And one of the things
proven.
One of the things, very much proven, because they're dumping millions of dollars into research on this stuff. And one of the big problems that he posed was for new buyers. So he said something like 1 in 3 women in the United States shopped on Etsy last year, 1 in 10 men. So that what they're trying to do is target people who haven't shopped on the platform more in order to try to garner more repeat buyers, because as of right now, it was a very small portion of people were repeat buyers. The majority of people buy from Etsy once a year, but the people that buy from Etsy more than once a year buy on average 5 times a year, which was really interesting to learn. My brain again. We've been talking so much.
He said 1 in 3 women shop
1 in 3
on Etsy
women,
in a
which
year.
is huge.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
he said that the other 2 in 3 would shop. We just haven't shown them something they want yet.
Yeah.
But the interesting problem that they had posed was, how do you get relevance to a shopper that's never shopped on the platform before? So you have to start taking in. It was a really interesting example. He was talking again about dog food scoops. If, say, you're a new person to Etsy, you've never been on Etsy before, how do we show you relevant things in your feed? And AI isn't there yet. It can't predict what you're going to want based on just your location, like your IP address alone. However, they're working to get it to a point where they can very quickly identify things. So he said, in reference to the dog food scoops, if you're coming in here and you're so bougie that you're buying a specific dog food scoop instead of using the plastic cup you bought at Walmart like everybody else, there's a very good chance that you care about your dog a lot. A lot of people that care about their dogs a lot are people that care about the environment that they're living in. And those kind of people are also people who have a pretty high likelihood of having a child or having a spouse, and they live in this kind of environment. And we can take this information and combine that with the location that you live in, what people in your area buy, and very quickly, based on 1, maybe 2 searches that you do in the search bar, they can utilizing AI completely give you a feed full of stuff that you're gonna want based on 1 thing that you've searched for. Now, that's great that they're trying to do that for buyers that are just getting to the platform, but think of what that kind of power means for customers of yours. That they can leverage people who have been buying on the platform once or twice or 5 times a year, and they can say, here are all these things. And not only that, they're combining it with these things that are like, these are actual handmade, these are AI, and these are the original stuff. Like, they can make it where if you're putting in the work into your shop, you have an original concept or you have an execution of a concept that's unique, they can prioritize you and stop sticking people who are terrible at what they're doing, who put no work at all into their shops, have completely unoriginal ideas, or are just buying things and sticking them on the internet, and they're putting you in front. I love Etsy. I love Etsy. I've always loved Etsy. I don't always agree with everything that they do, but I hope they stick to their guns with these things and they don't listen to any naysayers with this kind of stuff, because this kind of power could really flip Etsy into the platform that it's meant to be. As much as saying keep Etsy human is kind of the antithesis of using AI, but he said in the beginning of the stream that we're trying to move it more from keep Etsy human to Etsy is being superhuman. They're able to take the human aspect and make it feel more human by utilizing AI to give the customers and the sellers a more human experience. And I hope that he's being honest when he says that, because it's huge for the platform.
Yeah.
And this was more just kind of with the shipping.
One last thing for everybody in Europe. It's very uncommon for Josh to even acknowledge that you exist. So you did get a little shout out there. He said that they want to make buying across Europe feel like you're buying locally for all European sellers, where that localization and those things that we talk about, where you might see things shipping faster and getting more relevance in search. I'm assuming that that's what he meant. Basically, if you're shopping from, we'll say, France to Germany, for example, those items, basically, they want to make it feel more localized and closer by, I'm assuming, talking about things like the shipping speed being...
Yes, he also said that he doesn't want it just for Europe. He wants it to be like, if you're buying from Europe, no matter where you are in the world, it's like buying from a local shop, because that's what Etsy's supposed to be. Yeah. Etsy is supposed to be, he made very good points. You have very few brands that you can remember.
That's true.
And he believes, realistically, and he makes a lot of sense there. I don't necessarily believe in it. I would need to see more data, but he believes that the time of all of these independent shops on the internet is coming to a close eventually, because you only have so many brands you can remember. And you can do offsite advertising, but we cannot predict where social media is going to be 10 years from now, if at all, depending on how different countries have regulations, how privacy regulations go. Social media may not even be capable to exist 10 years from now. We don't know how that's going to look. However, we do know that Etsy was he said the number 2 or the number 3 e-commerce platform on the internet last year, something like that, behind Amazon and maybe Walmart.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers for that, so I can't really speak on that. But the point of Etsy is that it's supposed to feel like you're buying locally. And right now,
if it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get to you, that doesn't feel local, right? So the shipping is a huge focus for them. And of course, Amazon, he said, we're never going to compete with Amazon. That's not something that's even possible, because Amazon inventories products. That's the only way that Amazon is able to do that, because they've put billions of dollars into logistics. Etsy can't do that. Etsy can't warehouse. But the benefit that they have is that if you're buying a dress, you can have that hemmed. You can have that put to your specific proportions. If you're buying a table that you have a weird spot in your living room, that there's a weird oblong shape that you want to put a table or a display table in, come to Etsy, we can do that. You can't do that on Amazon. That's what their main selling point is. They're not trying to outpace Amazon. And I was so glad to hear him say that, because they're not the same thing as Amazon. And Amazon Handmade's not going anywhere. You can buy handmade stuff on Walmart and all that stuff. But everybody knows that Etsy is the platform you come to for a specific purpose. You buy on Amazon because you want things quick. You need things quick. You buy on Etsy because mom has a birthday, grandma passed away, and you're buying a present, or a kid was born, or you're having a wedding and you want a unique. That's why you come to Etsy. You don't go to Amazon for that. And they're trying to make it feel like no matter where these things are being sold from, that you can get that local experience. And I'm here for it. Yeah. I'm absolutely here for it. And they're not just shooting into the dark. They're spending tens of millions of dollars on research internally and externally to be able to take this buyer and seller data and optimize the experience. And there's going to be growing pains, but this gives me hope that Josh cares more about the platform. And if you actually watch these things and listen to him speak, he's not blind to your guys' complaints by any stretch of the imagination.
You can definitely feel that he's
passionate. The dude is passionate, if not anything else.
Right.
So
it definitely changed my perspective. There were quite a few things that, that I didn't really necessarily agree with.
That's everything, though.
I think that, a lot of people yesterday during the eRank Q&A had said something about, Josh, he's on his way out. I don't think so. I think that
I don't think so at all. I think what he's speaking is going to put him at the forefront.
I think that he's trying to get ahead of Amazon by incorporating AI in a way that Amazon isn't going to be able to innovate to, because they're so big, and it's going to take a lot to get AI into Amazon the way that Etsy plans to, because they're so much bigger than Etsy. And Etsy, they're in this unique position where they have something really special that's different than anyone else. And they're big, but they're not as big, which means that getting these AI systems added isn't going to be as difficult.
No, it's not going to be as difficult. At the end of the day, like I said earlier, progress for the sake of progress on a website, advancement sideways is not advancement. It's just a visual change. However, innovation, true innovation, doesn't come very often when it comes to online e-commerce. Social media, occasionally, every 2-3 years, we'll see something innovative, but every social media platform that's come out right now isn't really all that unique. It's just their execution. And that is where Etsy is attempting. Josh is beholden to the stockholders first. That's concerning. Of course, stockholders are always going to be the number one.
We have a video about that.
Yeah, we have a video about that. And I was really upset in the last shareholders meeting that they did, because he talked about booting out IP infringement, and JP Morgan, was it JP Morgan?
Wells Fargo?
One of the representatives for one of the banks, their first concern was how that was going to affect their overall income.
GMS.
And I'm not cool with that. I absolutely, once a company goes public, they are to a degree beholden to the stockholders. But here's a problem. We're already in that soup. You reference soup. We're already in that soup. We're already in the shareholder soup. They're not going back to being private. So we can either go off platform and try to compete, which we are doing with the Go Imagine stuff. We're trying to give more Imagine.
Stream.
We are not bootlickers for Etsy by any stretch of the imagination. Etsy screws up all the time, but there are also millions of people on their platform. So boo-boos are going to happen.
Right. If the puppy keeps pooping on the floor, it's okay when the puppy does something good to give it a treat. And right now we're giving Etsy a treat because we see value in some of the things that they're doing.
Because he's truly trying to innovate, not just do things that make the shareholders. And he acknowledged that they're reaching a ceiling for where they are now. They can only make the shareholders so happy by saying we're reaching a ceiling with the amount of money we can make right now. But they said the same thing a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, when Etsy was making, a couple $1 million a year, and now they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they proved everybody wrong. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt for at least a little while longer and attempt to see what they can do, because what they're saying they're going to attempt to do is something no one else is doing. No one's even trying to do what they're doing.
Right. And definitely for our US sellers, like watch our stream last week with Go Imagine with John. John's fantastic, and they are a private company with no plans to go public, and they value the small sellers and the handmade experience. And my personal opinion is that sellers who are, handmade and digital within the US, that, I mean, unfortunately, Go Imagine hasn't expanded to other countries yet. But if you feel the same that we do, and that, Etsy, you kind of got to be on Etsy because that's where a lot of the traffic is, but you kind of want to also have a backup plan because Etsy is kind of unpredictable.
I have more on that.
I like the idea of having both because Go Imagine is cheap. HAA students, by the way, in the bonuses vault, we just added yesterday, you guys get 2 free months of any Go Imagine plan, including Mosaic if you want the website, if you're a US seller. It's in the bonuses vault at the bottom. That's already in there for you. So,
but the point I was trying to get to is he was talking about, and I don't necessarily agree that online e-commerce outside of big platforms is going anywhere. However, the chances of you being able to compete with a platform that's dumping billions of dollars into research, or not billions, probably tens of millions of dollars into research on AI leverage, you're never going to outpace Etsy. I'm sorry. You're never going to build a $1 billion brand on Etsy. And he knows that. I mean, it's definitely possible. You could have $100 million brand, maybe get up to the, close to the billions, but I doubt there's anybody actually making billions of dollars on Etsy. And they acknowledge that. But the point being is that putting your eggs in multiple baskets is the way to go, because if something does happen, if you're selling on your own website, and something happens, say social media, maybe there's a privacy law that passes, and for like 6 months, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all these platforms can't operate in any major country in the world.
Yeah.
What if that happens? We've already seen the United States is getting ready to get rid of TikTok. Like, it's already happening. So it's a way to have multiple baskets with multiple eggs and have safety nets. You can have your Etsy, you can have your website, you can have your Go Imagine, you can have your whatever else other website if you want to do whatever friggin' but whatever. Makerspace or Amazon Handmade or eBay or whatever else. Put your eggs in different baskets. And yeah, it's a pain in the butt with inventory, but most of you that are doing POD don't have to do your own inventory anyway. So whatever, but be happy that Etsy is at least making the changes that they can to not only increase their own revenue, but put more money in your pockets if you're working hard for it. That's the cool thing, is that he's making not just changes that are good for the shareholders, because this is good for the shareholders. A more customized experience where people are buying more high-end, more handmade things, and which will bring the customer service issues down, which will bring customer complaints down, which will bring the general public's opinion up. Those are all things that are amazing for the shareholders and good for you. There aren't really a lot of negatives other than the little boo-boos we got to deal with along the way that we're clearly dealing with now with ships getting suspended or shops getting suspended. My brain is turning into actual jello, so I have not a lot of word left in brain hole. So I think we're going to get to the end. Honey, if you want to do your Handmade Alpha Academy spiel.
Guys, my Etsy coaching program, that's going to be open for the next 10 days. We only open it twice a year because if you guys want us to be perfect people, here for you every single Friday, like we have been for the last 7 years, every Friday. 7 years every Friday. And I'm also live every Thursday, and I create a video for you every Tuesday. And next week, every single day, Monday through Friday, we're going to be streaming live for 1 hour. And we're accommodating for those of you who asked for a later stream. Monday and Wednesday, that stream will take place at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We could not do that if we left Handmade Alpha Academy open all year long. 90% of what I do is completely free, but for 10 days, twice a year, my Etsy coaching program opens to the public. It is completely self-paced. You can start it whenever you want. If you've got a vacation coming up, that's fine. It's like a book that you can purchase, and if you want to put it on the shelf for a while, that's fine. You can pick it up off the shelf and start whenever you want. The entire program is pre-recorded in 4K. We have, so much content in there. It is not a quick little Etsy set your shop up crash course. Nope. The Handmade Alpha Academy is built on a foundation of human psychology, consumer behavioral science. There's a lot of talk about, MIT case studies in there and things that have been proven to influence buyer decisions and shopping patterns. So what you're going to get in the Handmade Alpha Academy is so much more than any other program right now offers. There are no other programs that do this. Before Etsy and before I started selling, I was a preschool teacher. And you can kind of tell that in my teaching style. If you watch my Tuesday videos, you'll kind of get that, fun cartoons, lots of imagery, lots of things popping up on the screen, because I believe that creating content that is entertaining and engaging is the way to ensure that things stick, which is why we also have so many neurodivergent students within the Handmade Alpha Academy, because I've got my lovely ADHD brain husband here and my sweet little ADHD brain daughter up there. We absolutely understand that
I like toys.
Learning can be difficult for a lot of different types of people. It's also why the Handmade Alpha Academy includes a 30-day, 0 questions asked money back guarantee. So if you get in there and it's too much for you, you're not jiving with it, I'm not fitting your learning style, there are no weird hoops to jump through. There's no homework. All you have to do is email Mark within 30 days and ask for a refund, and it's done.
And if you email me prior to September 1st to pay off your balance minus the final payment,
if you're on a payment plan.
If you're on a payment plan, I will just cut the final payment off and make it the $9.97 as the one-time payment. You just have to message me prior to September 1st.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm going to post the link in the chat. By the way, if you're the kind of person here, I know there's quite a few of you who cannot stand listening to me. She's the only person that speaks in the course. So I just do the tech stuff. It's all her voice. I don't like talking for that long, even though it appears like I like talking a lot.
My ADHD brain really loves this course. I appreciate it.
You guys can click the link there. There's all kind of stuff that you can read through, explains exactly what everything is. If you don't care, there's buttons all over the place that just say jump to enrollment options, because I hated all the complaints about people who had to scroll that long. Right at the top, you can click it and buy whatever plan you want to buy.
But if you guys have any questions about it, we'll hang out for just a few minutes. I really gotta pee. I might have to run and pee.
No.
I gotta pee.
Nope, gotta hold it.
If you guys have any questions about it, please put those in the chat. You can also email me directly at starla@handmadealphaacademy.com. He'll type it in the chat because you guys are going to want to copy and paste it. It's very long. Or reply to any email I've sent you if you're on my email list, the one about the Friday bean today. You can reply to that. We are going to be taking our daughter to her grandma's in a couple hours and going out to lunch. So there's going to be a small support gap. That's how you know it's not AI, because I actually have to sit down in front of my computer and answer your emails. But we will be back to answer your questions sent by email pretty soon. Aside from that, I think that's it. I do want to say that for everybody, I know that there's like probably 100 students here right now who are already in. Guys, if you're already a member of Handmade Alpha Academy, make sure that you go into the Product Photography Essentials Workshop within the bonuses vault. Christina Nicole, she was dealing with like a death in the family. She was dealing with, her kids are out of school, so they're always home. She's got all these things, and she still found time to literally build the Product Photography Essentials Workshop from the ground up and redo it, because she had originally done it like 3 years ago and she wanted to adapt it, and it is better than ever. So if you've already, gotten that bonus, you don't need to do anything different. You just sign back into it and it's all there. If you haven't checked it out, now is the best time to do so. And if you just joined Handmade Alpha Academy, wait until module 4 to take it, because that's when we'll start kind of talking about photography.
Somebody had said, what are you talking about? I have ADHD and I'm excitable, so occasionally I will interrupt her and people take that as rude. Unfortunately, It is something I actually cannot prevent. I jump on top of people in conversations, and that's just what I do. Also, I have an anxiety disorder, so I have a tendency to laugh at the end of sentences, and people think that's rude for some reason.
Yeah,
it's a nervous tick. I've done it my entire life. I don't personally care, but I understand how it can come off, so I'm just honest about it. I know what I come off as. I'm me. Does HAA include some sort of shop critique so we can see what we are doing well and not right now?
Kim, no. And here's why. When you get into Handmade Alpha Academy, you are given everything that I could offer in a critique session in the exact order that I recommend implementing. There is no point in me wasting your time, especially when there's over 1,200 students, for me to sit and critique everybody's shop before you start working on it. It's like if I came to the spot where you're about to build a house and you're like, looks nice, huh? And you've got like the foundation and like the wood beams up. I'm like, yeah, where's the walls? When you get into the Handmade Alpha Academy, you're going to have everything that I would teach you in a one-on-one session. What I will do for you is when you have made a change, you're like, I just got through module 2. I just, I have my target customer all nailed out. Starla, what do you think about this? I will absolutely look at that for you. If you say, hey, I'm in module 3. I just learned about brand psychology. I am so stoked. I just redid like all my branding. Starla, can you take a look at it? Absolutely. I will look at that and I will let you know exactly what I think about it. If you get in and, you get through the whole program and you're like, Starla, I've implemented everything. I want to show it to you. What do you think? Is there anything I can improve on? I will look at that for you. You can email me at any time. There is no point in us wasting time of me telling you, yep, in module 7, you're going to fix that. Yep, in module 2, we'll cover that. There's no point in doing that.
Yeah, it's a waste of your time and ours.
Right.
Finish the course first, and then if you need that intervention, you can get it.
Exactly, Kim. And if any point during the program you need my help, you can email me at any time. You can post. There is a weekly bulletin in the top of our Handmade Alpha Academy Student Campus Facebook group. That's our group just for students. The bulletin is a post at the top of the group wall because I get tagged like 100 times on Facebook. Facebook doesn't even show me the notifications anymore. Facebook sucks now. But if you post in that bulletin a question, I will answer it there. And if you post generally in the group, there are so many expert students we have 6-figure sellers, we have coaches, we've got Christina Nicole, we have E-Rank staff in there. If you've got a question that you don't care if I answer it, you just want somebody, super smart in that topic to answer, we've got graphic designers in there. You can post in the group wall. We are such an open and loving community. I cannot say enough about the students.
I know, I love it.
It is
all kinds of people too.
Oh yeah, we have students from all around the world selling things as simple as jewelry to as crazy as bunny poop organic gardening manure. There are so many different students in HAA that have unique perspectives to offer.
Somebody had said they do the nervous laugh too. Embrace it. It's part of your personality, and no amount of medication or therapy is going to make it go away. Embrace it and be happy about it. You laugh more than other people.
Right.
That even if it's a nervous laugh, you're still releasing happy hormones. Embrace it. Let it happen.
I can't believe that would
if you've got ADHD,
negative.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you've got ADHD, you already understand the fact that, and especially if you're severe like me, I have never once in my entire life felt a sense of accomplishment, and I've always thought that was weird, but that's just an ADHD trait. So if you laugh at the end of sentences, be happy about it. It's fun.
We're spending a lot more time learning about ADHD because Mark didn't know that he had it.
And all the things that I'm learning about, they absolutely blow my mind. I feel a sense of relief when I finish a task that should give me a sense of accomplishment. I have never once felt satisfied with any task I've ever done. I've always felt relief, which is good in its own way, but I'm just now learning that that's an ADHD trait. Talking over people, dreading conversations, even though the moment I'm in that conversation, I'm in love with the conversation. Like, there's a lot of different things. So if you don't have ADHD and there's certain traits about people that you hate, look up if it's an ADHD trait, because ADHD is one of the most underdiagnosed disorders in the country.
It is, and it affects everybody differently.
Sure does. Can Mark please do occasional lives on the student campus and rant, though? Depends on what you want me to rant about. I can rant about a lot of stuff.
We do it every night. That's all we do.
That's my ADHD, bro.
We don't even watch it. Like, we don't hardly watch. We are going to watch The Boys tonight.
We are going to finish. We're going to get through this season.
The Boys,
sure.
yeah. But we don't even really watch anything at night. We just sit, we cling on to a topic, and then we go back and forth for like 3 hours until we go to bed. It's nice, though. I love talking to you.
Yep, me too.
I
was diagnosed as ADHD as a kid, but I should probably see somebody and get like an official, like, get additional diagnosis. As long as you're aware and honest, we try to be as honest as we can. We really hate dishonesty, and we think that that's most of the world's problems right now. So we don't want to contribute to that.
And if you watch some of our old, like go back to like our old live streams,
We're significantly faker.
well, faker. No, I was going to say, yeah, because I didn't know how to be on camera, but you have grown so much as a person, and I see it. And I think that those who have been around for a long time see it, because you acknowledge the things that you want to change in yourself and you work on them. And that is what being human is all about. We all change and evolve, or you should be growing as a person every day.
Yeah, I laughed at the end of my sentences too, and I didn't notice it until I started a YouTube channel and editing my videos. That sucks, doesn't it? The thing she doesn't realize is she breathes in really heavy right before every sentence that she starts. And that was a huge thing in the early microphones that we had, because the frequency spectrum that it picked up was so heavy that every time she breathed in, it was like every time she breathed in, and I just had to I had to cut it. That's how we had to cut our videos.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's funny.
you learn what everybody else observes the moment you edit a video for yourself.
Yes.
Also in the HA student campus, there's a weekly post that Starla makes for posting all the questions in one place. Yes, I love that.
It makes it so much easier.
Oh my God, I love it. Do you charge extra for
No.
checking out our store? Nope,
No.
we don't charge. We have no additional extra add up charges. The only things that you'll have to pay for are like MailChimp once your list gets big enough.
Well, a domain email address, you'll probably need that once you start email marketing,
Cheap.
and that's pretty cheap.
If you're spending $1,000 on a course, you've got that's where we're at. If you're spending $1,000 on the course, anything that's additional is so cheap that you can afford it.
Right. It's not there. I don't sell anything else. Everything that I have that I sell, like our upcoming holiday boot camp,
You get that for free
every
forever.
year. Normally people have to pay to get into that. All students, you get annual tickets to that no matter what.
The only thing you will ever have to pay for additionally is if we have any other large budget courses.
I have no plans to make one.
But as of right now, we have no plans to make one. Just expand on the current material that we have.
Yep. And you won't pay for that. You'll
And
get
you won't
that
pay
for free.
that. Yep. I would rather you pay one fee and be part of the community and be part of the experience than have to buy 50 different upsells. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't do upsells. I'm anti-upsell. Carla, is there a certain stage we should be at in our business in order to maximize when we should sign up? No. In fact, okay, so if you're a newbie and you're just starting out, maybe you don't have a shop, maybe you just started a shop, maybe you've had a shop for a while, but you just haven't done much with it. That to me is a best case scenario, because you can hit the ground running and do things the right way immediately. You know what I mean? You can just jump right in. If you're an experienced seller, or you have, a large shop or a large number of sales, the way that I see it is I always ask people, do you know what you should be doing right now? Because if you don't, if it's like, well, I guess I could release Halloween. Well, I guess, man, when should I start marketing that? Man, when should I do this? Handmade Alpha Academy is going to give you a timeline of growth and accountability. So that accountability is going to be a timeline that you can follow if you don't know what to do next. And we're going to reevaluate some of your past decisions. Maybe your branding, for example. Have you ever thought about how your branding affects the actual emotions of your customers? Well, if not, that's something that we evaluate early on in the program, so that if you're like, wow, my branding colors make people excited, and my brand is all about cozy home decor, maybe excited isn't the emotion that I should be triggering. It's going to allow you to, with that human psychology, be able to go back and reevaluate some of those past decisions so that you can tweak and refine those teeny tiny areas that may be major limiting factors to your growth and how people are perceiving your brand overall. I like to say for those bigger sellers, it's almost like you've got your brick wall. That's solid, but there are tiny cracks in your grout that are making your wall not foundationally sound. And it's not like you need a whole new wall, but you do need to go in and kind of spackle the cracks a little bit. So that's where I'm at with
Did you kind
how
of
I
answer this
describe
one
it.
already?
Yeah, that's kind of what I just said.
Yeah. When did Mark get diagnosed? I was diagnosed as a young child, I think like probably second, third grade. My mom chose to keep that hidden for whatever reason.
Probably they didn't want to put you in medication.
Yeah, that's the thing. The mid-90s was kind of the generation of like, let's give meth to our kids to fix their concentration issues. And my parents didn't want to contribute to that. Not saying medication's always bad. For some people, it is the cure. Some people have ADHD so bad that they
Absolutely.
like they need it, or they're just going to have to be in a straitjacket kind of crazy. I'm there with you. I'm like on that edge.
Our daughter was on medication.
She was, but she wasn't severe enough that I felt like giving her drugs like that was worth.
Yeah.
I'd rather just self-regulate. And she, this year, off medication, was on the honor roll and graduated with an almost A average in every class other than science. And her science teacher, she didn't like her. So,
Fatty Pancake, is your picture a bearded dragon? My mom is a bearded dragon lady. I just recently discovered that I have an auditory processing disorder. I also believe that I have an auditory processing disorder. When I am in public, I process all sounds at the exact same volume, which means if we're in a crowded room and he's talking to me, his voice will be just as loud as everything in that room, and I cannot select his voice from that.
Yep.
And then that will cause a panic attack. You tell me instructions to do something verbally, and I won't retain it well at all. That is exactly how I am.
That's how I am too.
With Handmade Alpha Academy, I tell you, I have summarized. I'm not just reading slides. I will summarize it on the screen so that you have some quick notes if you want to jot them down, and then I show you how. So we try to hit all of those learning points, and there's written action steps under the video. That way, once you're finished, it's like, okay, I just finished the video. I need to complete step 1, step 2, step 3. That way, you know what you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I 3D print my items. Awesome. They just signed up for HA today. Welcome, by the way.
Welcome.
But I really want to add POD to help add some income. Would HA help with finding and deciding new items, new shop, same shop?
Yeah. So basically what you're going to want to do is pay close attention to module 2, which is target customer identification. Make sure that the things that you want to make align with the current focus of your brand. That way, you know if those new items can work well with the already existing foundation that you have. If you feel that there's incongruence there, it might be a good idea to consider saving those for a secondary shop. But my big piece of advice is once you go through module 2, if you can't quickly identify a common ground there, post in the student campus and see if other students can. A couple years ago, we had a student who made aprons, for cooking, but she also made dog bandanas. And she came to me and she's like, I'm going to have to start 2 shops. Aprons for the kitchen and dog bandanas are 2 different. And I said, no. Let's think about the glue that holds these together. Aprons are for mom while she's cooking. Where is the dog while mom is cooking? It's at her feet. Make the bandanas match the aprons, sell them as sets so that you've got mom's little kitchen helper because the dog's always going to be under her feet. That is a packaged brand idea. That is a niche. Those things fit together. At a glance, you would think those 2 things have no commonality, but it's how you display them, how you package them, and how you define the target audience for those items that makes things work together. Mm-hmm. Similar to how Hot Topic can sell super duper, gothy clothes and trip pants, but they also have Care Bears. Why? Because goth kids love Care Bears. We love hugs.
Do you tend to procrastinate? How did you know my middle name?
Yeah.
That's all I do is procrastinate.
We finished the course updates last night, right before we opened.
Which is the same thing we did last launch. All right, how much is the course?
It is $997. That is lifetime access. You can also pay it off over 6 months for $199 per month. If you contact Mark before September 1st to pay off your remaining balance, he'll actually cut off that last month payment. Once you're in for life. You don't have to pay for anything else. You get everything forever. You get all the boot camps forever. You get all updates forever. You get 12 months of E-Rank Pro. I take care of that for you. So that's $120 that you don't got to spend. You get, like I said, the annual access to the Alpha Holiday Boot Camp. Those are around $120 a season that you get for free every year. And the Product Photography Essentials Workshop previously was $197. Now it's $297. And you guys get that for free as well because it was just completely redone. So you get a lot of value in that you also won't have to spend. Mark's going to go ahead and put the link in there.
I'm going to go ahead and put the link in there. I'm going to try to focus specifically on HA questions because we need to get scooting. I got stuff to do.
That's fine. I got to pee.
That's fine. Okay. Let's see. Somebody had asked how much it was. There it is. Somebody had, are we allowed to copy customer emails that you bought from us on Etsy? No, they have to consent.
Yeah, that you cannot just take someone's email and opt them into an email list. You have to have a system in place. That's something else we teach in Handmade Alpha Academy, by the way, not to pitch it, but you have to have an opt-in. Now you can, if they make a purchase, you can say, hey, you know, for updates on future launches and future sales and discounts, feel free to join my email list. If as long as it's attached to a transaction, like they just bought something for you and you're thanking them for their purchase, PS, if you want to join, here's my email list. You're totally allowed to do that. You can put your email list link in your shop. Totally allowed to do that. Etsy says that's fine. In Handmade Alpha Academy, I actually walk you through how to do that as well. But if you don't plan on joining HAA, I would recommend setting up your mailing list through MailChimp. It's the easiest and it's free.
And kind of along those lines, an actual HAA question. Are there any type of memberships that we need to have as a prerequisite? I heard you say MailChimp, if we already have...
Email service provider.
An email service provider. Do we need to transfer everything to MailChimp in order to follow along?
No, the reason that I select MailChimp, for one, we have a deal with MailChimp where students get one free automation. So your MailChimp is going to be completely free. Up until you reach 500 subscribers. By the time you get 500 subscribers, you should be making enough money from that email list that it will pay whatever fee you have to cover more subscribers. We also teach you how to keep it clean so that you're moving people from your list who aren't opening your emails. That way you can keep your list free for as long as possible. You don't have to transfer. We have lots of students who choose other email service providers. The actual marketing aspects and the types of emails that you send to them, doesn't matter what ESP you use. I will say that when it comes to helping you with specific issues,
if it has to do with your ESP, then we can't really help you.
I just won't be able to, because I've never used any other ones. If you choose to move, you can do that. You would just go into your current email list, wherever you're hosting that from, export as a CSV file, and you should be able to import that CSV directly into MailChimp. And, you know, because they've already consented, hopefully, to join your existing list, it's an easy transfer over and it doesn't take a lot of work. But that's completely optional. You don't have to use MailChimp. There's a couple very specific videos like cleaning your MailChimp list and things that obviously it's going to be harder to do if you're trying to execute that same plan on another platform. I hope that makes sense. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, though. You don't have to use MailChimp.
I work full time. I'm trying to build my store so I can make it my job instead. Is HAA for me? Yes.
Sure. It's going to take you time, but that's why HAA is
self-paced.
It's completely self-paced. Yeah, you can pick it up and start and stop whenever you want. If anything is updated to the program, like if there's, you know, something changes, I will always email everybody, all students. You guys all got an email from me yesterday with our big list of updates. That way you know what lessons you might need to go back and revisit. But absolutely. Obviously, you're just going to have to be really careful with your time because if you work full time, you only have so many hours in the day, right?
And we did try to make the course, as I know there's some talk about age, we did attempt to make the course as tech friendly as possible, as laid out with as many directions as possible so nothing is missing.
Yeah.
We do that as much as we can.
Yes.
Which helps with the neurodivergent people.
Our oldest student is in her 80s, so she's doing just fine and hasn't had any issues.
When does the holiday boot camp open this year?
So I want to do it earlier than ever. So I want to do it early this year. Early September is the plan. You guys said that October was way too late last year. I completely agree. Mark and I have Lost Lands, which is a major EDM festival to go to late September. Ideally, I would like to host the boot camp before we leave for that so that I don't have to worry about it while we're away.
Or right when we get back.
Right. So I dare say that you should plan for the boot camp taking place in early September. Dates to be announced.
Yeah. I'm not answering any more non-HAA questions.
That's fine, because I gotta pee.
I sell original paintings of figures, faces, florals, etc. A few repeat customers, but I'm not sure some of the material is right for my product. Can this work for one-of-a-kind varied subjects?
So there's going to be a big emphasis on creating repeatable products within Handmade Alpha Academy, and that's not because one-of-a-kind is impossible, but you will have very unique challenges as a one-of-a-kind seller within HAA because the algorithm does not favor one-of-a-kind items. That's just how the algorithm is. It favors items that can be sold over and over again, where listings can build quality scores. So my biggest piece of advice to a one-of-a-kind seller is if you can create something repeatable, for example, maybe you paint something, you've got something popular that you could sell as an art print. you can't buy an original Picasso, but you can get a print of a Picasso. Is there anything that you've created that lots of people might be interested in buying that isn't one of a kind that you could sell as a print so that you have a couple repeatable items in your shop just to help, with ranking in search. So there's that part. The second part is that if you're one of a kind and you have no plans to not be one of a kind, you're really going to need to focus more on the social media aspect of Handmade Alpha Academy, building hype externally, pushing traffic to your Etsy shop, building your email list, and really positioning yourself as the artist, not so much as just a seller. You know what I mean? You're going to really need to do a lot to become interesting to an audience of people outside of Etsy so that you can drive them to your Etsy shop. But now is the best time to do that because we have resources like short form video content. You can show yourself painting. People love watching that stuff. It's very satisfying. It's therapeutic. You could start a YouTube channel. You could start a Twitch stream where you stream yourself painting. There's a lot of different opportunities there. HAA is definitely not designed for one-of-a-kind products. So you would just have to enter the program knowing that there are parts that will not apply to you, but maybe they could. Maybe they could open your mind to
so many one-of-a-kind shops in HAA.
Right. Maybe it could open your mind to new ways to appeal to the algorithm, like creating a small set of prints or cards or one of your pieces on, on a canvas that they can buy that will allow you to better appeal to the algorithm overall, and that helps your shop as a whole. So just plan to adapt a little bit.
Fatty Pancake, just email me at support@handmadealphaacademy.com. We'll get you taken care of. And then there was a couple of other small questions. Somebody had asked about doing POD in a different country. Where you sell from is irrelevant, so don't worry about that.
Oh, no, it's not location based. How much is the holiday boot camp? It
varies.
On the first day, it's $60. On the second day, it goes up to $100. So we have $60 first day. Next 2 days, it's $100. The last day, it's $160 or $20. I'm sorry, $120. And that $20 extra that you pay all goes to St. Jude Children's Hospital. So it's like a penalty, but it's a donation penalty. So some people actually choose to buy on the last day just so that $20 can go to St. Jude. It's kind of our big holiday thing that we do every year for St. Jude.
All right, these last two questions, then I'm cutting it because my brain is sludge. How much time should I set aside for HAA?
That's completely up to you because it is self-paced. I personally recommend an hour a day. If you can't do that, that's fine. But take weekends off. Do an hour a weekday if you work better on a Monday through Friday. I'm definitely a big fan of making sure that you take your breaks, you work on your mental health, you make sure that you decompress because your brain is going to actually retain better if you've given yourself small breaks. So an hour a day is very realistic to me. The average student, I just sent this in an email today, but the average student can usually complete the program within 60 days, assuming that they are completing the action steps along the way. However, a lot of people decide to just binge watch the whole thing Netflix style. They don't apply anything. They use it to get a perspective of what they should be doing. Then they start again, back to module 1, and they apply the second time around. So it really just depends.
And then HA student question, can I post a product in the student campus if somebody is asking about it? Yeah, that should be fine. If it's already in the comment section of an existing post and it's not just making a post for the sake of, and you can always DM it to them too. That's always an option. Okay, we are good. I'm going to go ahead and post a link for you guys in here. You can also get to it if you don't have access to the chat, easier than doing handmadealphaacademy.com/VIP. You can just go to joinhaa.com. It is not HMA. It is not AHA. It is join HHAA.com.
Ah, like laugh.
Juliet, Oscar, India, November, Hotel, Alpha, Alpha.com.
You can tell he was in the military.
Yeah. But that's how I break it down to phone agents, and they love it. Okay.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. We appreciate you. If you email me at starla@handmadealphaacademy.com with questions or reply to any of the emails that I've sent you about Handmade Alpha Academy or the Friday Bean or whatever, just reply to one. If you've got questions about HAA, I will get back to you later this afternoon after we take our daughter to her grandma's house. We appreciate you so much. Mark, let's make them listen to some words from our students.
Bye. Bye.
I have become a better person through HAA.
What I really like about Starla is her honesty and transparency. There's so much that she gives to people for free.
I'm like, this is an incredible framework for me to build into and adjust to and adapt to, and all these things that I would have never been able to figure out on my own.
I was like reinvigorated about my business when I started HAA.
Our armor was featured in Lucifer's season 5 finale, and the main actor got to wear things that we created here. Part of the reason why we were able and ready to do such a thing was because of the alphas.
Joining Etsy, joining any online platform, you have question after question after question. HAA has been the one place where I've got answers for nearly all my questions.
You guys and what you have done with the Handmade Alpha Academy has literally changed my life.
And you get continued help no matter where you're at in your Etsy journey. That was probably
by following the step-by-step really instruction of how you lead us through HAA.
The first like 4+ years that I was on Etsy, I think I had 37 sales, and we've gotten well over 1,000 since then. I think I'm up to 1,200.
Self-paced, there's an amazing Facebook group that will help you.
Invest in yourself. It's worth every penny and so much more.
I look at my Etsy shop and I look at my website and I am just in awe of what I have done. And I just look at it every day and think, wow.
I actually think that for what you get, you guys are really, really not charging enough. I hate to say that.
I've had thoughts to myself where I've been like, I'd give you guys $3,000 for this course. I see how valuable it is.
2020, I did like maybe $3,000. 2021, I did $10,000. HAA for me paid back for itself 6 weeks after I signed up for it.
I definitely recommend it. If you can invest the money, the time investment is not too bad.
Well worth the money. There is nothing in all that I've taken that I haven't been able to use for my business.
Absolutely, just do it, because there's no, what do you have to lose? And it's everything you need in one place.
It's hard to buy an education that will teach you practical skills like we learn in HAA.
Take the plunge, do it. First off, the money back guarantee is really a selling point for me.
She knows so much about marketing and branding and the psychology behind it. So that's really good knowledge to have, and she's so willing to share that.
So I would tell everybody out there that's thinking about it, if you're ready for this step and if you're ready to grow yourself and your business, it changed our lives, honestly.